Hey everyone, Ekman here with another video, and we're just a couple of weeks away from the formal launch of Union Arena here in North America, and I'm super excited for it. I had a lot of fun during the super pre-releases earlier this month as well, and I know a lot of people are interested to see what this game looks like on a constructed side of it. So I want to go over the basic deck building rules, so that's going to be kind of the first part of this video. I was going over the rules because I've had a couple people ask me, and I want to just kind of have like a little spot for that for anyone who's interested in it. And then we'll have two updated deck lists, which are updated deck lists based off the starter deck. So if you got either the Hunter Hunter or the Bleach starter deck, these are both decks that you can upgrade into once we get the full sets released. I won't say that they're necessarily the best ones, and I think Purple and Bleach in general is better in a constructed side than the Gone green deck, but I do want to just kind of make two different versions just so you guys can have something to look forward to and maybe try out a little bit before we get the full release. So jumping on into it though, again, the deck building rules real quick. I'm going to make some remarks compared to other Bandai card games because that's what I'm mostly familiar with. But for the basic deck building rules, it's 50 cards. So kind of like Digimon and One Piece, it's a hard 50, unlike Fusion World and Dragon Ball Masters where it could be 50 to 60, which is fine. Sometimes I wish I could run like one or two more, but I think whatever. Most decks, you want to play the minimum 50 anyways, so that's totally fine for that. A maximum of 4 copies per card, and so that doesn't mean like I know some cards already have like different arts if they are like in the star deck or if they are in the main set, but they have a code based on the bottom left which says like what series it's from, what set of the series it is. So there's like a Hunters 1 and a Hunters 2 kind of down the road, and then also just the card number. So you can only have 4 of each card number for there, and then only 1 IP. So since we have Bleach and we also have Hunter Hunter, you can make a Bleach deck or you can make a Hunter Hunter deck, but you can't cross cards in between them. Generally, I don't think that's a big issue. And if you have any wondering of what a card comes from, you can check the bottom left of the card number, and the first thing says the 3-digit like lettering for it. So Hunter's HTR, Bleach's BLC. We'll get others in the future, but only one set of 3 code for any of these decks. So again, no switching between the 2 IPs. And then there's no color restriction. I put a little asterisk right there, just saying that you can make like a green and purple deck or whatever, but currently there's no real reason to do that as far as I'm aware. You'll notice in the top left of any of these cards, they have a number and then a color around it. So for example, this Gone right here is a 3 with a green background. It means that it takes 3 energy, and it's 3 green energy specifically. So everything is specific energy based on how much like the colors that this card is. So there isn't really a reason to mix and match right now. There may be in the future, and this may come up, but for right now, it's strictly green or strictly purple for most decks that exist. And I'm going to say almost all. I'm sure there might be one that kind of slipped through the cracks that I'm not really aware of, but generally you just want to be able to produce one color, and that's generally fine for the game. And then kind of the other thing, there are restrictions on some of the triggers, but not all of them. I've had some people, question like, oh, can I only run 4 copies of like the draw triggers or the get triggers or whatever? And the only triggers that are restricted are the special, the final, and the color ones. So special and final, you should be pretty familiar with since they were in the star decks. They both got them, and they're also not as unique as they may seem. The actual like effect on the card might be unique, but the special and final triggers are the same every time. So special is just you choose one character in your opponent's front line and sideline it, and then final is if you have 0 life, place it at the top card of your deck into your life. So they're always going to be those for special and final, and you can only really run 4 copies of those, which most people do run 4 copies of it. Everything else is unrestricted as well. And you also want to mention the color triggers, which I think it was like a little bit of a miss that they weren't in the star decks because people don't really they're going to get to the main sets and they're going to be curious about these. These are also restricted to 4 copies maximum. And what I kind of like about these special triggers are, one, they're usually pretty powerful, but it also means that they're kind of a deck building challenge because there might be, and generally it's with the color triggers. Generally there's like 2 different cards that you might want to run that have a really good like main effect or card on the front side, but they're restricted because they're colors. So it's hard you can't play 4 and 4 of these 2 different cards. So you could do like a 2-2 split sometimes. And I think there are some builds that do benefit from having like a 2-2 split on their color triggers, but it is something to help on deck building and to kind of maybe mitigate the fact that there could be some broken combos with 2 cards if they could be, run at full power. But they're also they're called color triggers because they have the same trigger based on the color. So green has a special or has their own unique one. So green is play 1 green character, the cost of 2 or less required energy and 1 AP cost from your hand is set to active on your field. Purple has a similar one where it plays it from your trash instead of from your hand, and then the other ones do as well. So that's something unique as well, that these triggers are based on the color, which is why they're called color triggers, but it is also a deck building challenge because of that too. So that's the last thing. And then some rules of thumb before we get into the example decks that I have. You do want to run 4 special color in final. I think that's pretty obvious, but I do want to mention it. Generally, you always put 4 of each. They're just so good in the deck. Final triggers necessarily aren't the best, but it's more so that they come with these, all the final triggers right now are the spend 1 action point to get 2 action points. So they're just really great effects that you always want to run. And also your removal of special. The other thing is 0 cost. You guys have probably played some games where you don't have a 0 cost, or you do have like a 0 cost, but you don't have a way to get up to your 2 energy thing kind of curve. And I want to mention that 0 costs are really important. They're kind of like rookies in Digimon, if you do play Digimon as the card game. And generally, I like to run somewhere between 12 and 16. Generally, it's pretty easy to know which ones, like 0 costs, you need to run. They're the ones that kind of go up into your raid targets. But by running a good amount of these 0 costs, you're able to have actual games. And most of the time, I've noticed with this game, especially since we draw 7 and like 5 with Digimon with a mulligan, if there's a non-game, it's usually because I got greedy with a kind of rough opening hand, and then I didn't draw the cards I needed from it. So that's generally, like, I've played some games before where like your deck building, even if you like drew like the good numbers and everything, you still get punished for it. And I really haven't noticed that in Union Arena quite yet, but that could just be me getting lucky. But in general, I think 12 to 16 0 cost. 16 might even be on the high side, but 12 to 14, 15, 16, I think is a good spot for you. And then I'd say like a raid ratio. This is not a hard 1 to 2 ratio, but if you're playing like 4 cards that are 4 of a raid card, you should have likely 8 targets for it. You can even have more if you want, but like something around those ratios, just to make sure that you have enough of the cards to raid into to make the amount that you of the bigger raid target worth it. So not a hard rule either, but just want to mention, like, those are generally the success where I find where like a 1 to 2-ish, you can bend it a little bit, but then you start getting a little bit inconsistent, or worse, too consistent, and then you kind of run out of room in your deck. So those are just kind of the rules from either formally or informally from my side. And let's go to our 2 example decks. All right, and for our updated star decks, we do have our green Hunter with Gone, as well as our purple one with Bleach. And real quick, if you guys want to see these deck lists, they're in the description, but also if you check out Eggman Events, the deck builder, this is going to be updated to say Wave 1 by the time this video comes out. But if you click this, you'll go to the Wave 1. These are my deck lists that I've been running. There's only these 2, but I'm going to be updating these in the next couple weeks. And you can also find this if you go to the homepage. I have a Wave 1 for events for Union Arena for the website. So we don't have any events right now, but this will be updated once we do, and you can click this page and get here. So again, I'm going to be updating this with Bleach and Hunter decks as we get them, and before the release, I'm going to have some more decks. I'm just working on a couple more builds before we get there, but just so you know, that's how you can get these as well. And this will be a resource for the near future too. So anyways, for the green Hunter one, we're focusing on Gone. If we're looking at green in general, I think Kurapika might be the better deck of the 2, and I'll have a build moving forward pretty soon with that one too, but I did want to kind of focus on Gone since he was kind of the focus of the star deck in general. Some new cards that we get for this one, we do have a new Gone from the set. It's a color trigger, so you pretty much have to run 4 of it. It's 1 play if on the front line, choose up to a character on your opponent's front line with equal or less than 1,000 multiplied by the number of other characters on your front line and sideline it. So being able to sideline some stuff based on that is pretty good. You have to have other characters on your front line, so you can get rid of a 4,000 or less, essentially, is what this is saying, if you have a full front line. It's kind of like a different version of Killua, which are running still 2 copies of this. If you don't find this card good enough, like it's too heavy for the deck, you can just take it out, but I do like running it. We also do have the new Killua from the set. So this is this character can be reduced BP wise, which is actually pretty good, especially with, I think, purple being pretty popular for BP reduction for the removal. It's going to actually be kind of tricky to get rid of this guy. And also activate main once a return of this character has 4,000 or more BP, you can switch it to active, which means that you can use it. You can play on your front line, give it a boost, and then you can attack with it immediately, which is really nice. And then also activate main, switch to resting. Choose up to one character with 15k power or more BP on your opponent's field, loses 1,000 for the end of the turn. So you can give something minus 15 twice, or you can just use it once, and then you can restand this and attack with it. So it's just some like good interaction, especially for just a 3-cost card here. And then we also have our new Gone. This is a raid target, so when played and when attacking, choose up to 2 other characters on your field. They gain plus 1,000 until the end of the turn. So it's a little unfortunate that it doesn't get, like, the on play gets benefits with Killua, but not the when attacking, because it's in the attack phase, not the main phase. But I think this is generally pretty good for what this deck wants to do. So you're a little bit like, unlike the star deck itself, it's more of like an aggressive deck. You just play a lot of cards with some big numbers. Helps us get our fishing rod online, since we do care about the BP of our own stuff when we look at removal, kind of the same as this Killua. And we also have Neon. This is probably like one of the like sleeper best cards for Green Hunter Hunter. When played, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 character among them, add to your hand. The revealed character is a character with 1 AP cost, and you have the required energy for it. You may play it instead of active, or perform raid with it instead of adding it to your hand. Place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. So the fact that this is able to just play a card from the top of your deck is really, really strong. It is an action too, so it's a little expensive, but it also is a double energy. So you get like to play 2 characters for 1, and it's 2 action points, but it's still usually worth it. So I think it's a really great card. I think Kurapika can take advantage of it a little bit more, but we have that there. And just again, like, the idea for this deck is that we have a lot of ways to get like plus to like 1,000 or so to our characters, get the bonuses for it. We have stuff like Mito, which we can use again with Leorio to be able to give like the bonus once again, and obviously like the Gone, you can raid into it and give plus 1,000 everything on the board. So I think the deck it's pretty simple, but it can be pretty aggressive and do a lot of damage and make it really difficult for your opponent to block, since you're going to have a lot of like impact with like the Gones with this one and this one, and then just also the fact that all of our cards are going to have just high power, as well as like this just giving something minus. So unfortunately this can't get rid of something outright, because I have to have 15k or more, 1,500 or more, but it's still in a good spot. So also this card being able to get a draw 1, trash 1 from this deck is really nice. So this is the build here for Hunter x Hunter. And then next up we've got Bleach. And something real quick for Bleach, I haven't really mentioned this. This was kind of speculation, and then it was confirmed. We have 2 cards that we didn't get in North America, and it wasn't like a mistake. It was as far as we know, it wasn't a mistake. It was a choice for from like a balancing perspective. Originally, the list that I had for this was using purple with Rukia. Rukia was the deck, but Rukia lost its zero cost card, so it's a little bit trickier to play this engine because we lost it. So I've switched to Byakuya. I think it's as good, if not better, at times, but it's a weird little interaction that we had with this. The other thing with Bleach is that it lost some Orihime that helped us put cards into our trash. So and the zero cost also put cards into our trash as well. So it's a little bit slower because of that, but not impactful enough. But this deck might change because this is unique to North America compared to all the Hunter x Hunter stuff. They actually got new cards instead of getting cards removed from it. So an interesting little ad there, but this is a build where we really focus on like using the minusing effects on purple and putting cards into our sideline to later remove them. The big cards for us, we already have this Ichigo, but we're based a little bit more on Ichigo. We have the 4-drop, which says when played, place the top 2 cards of your deck into your sideline. Place any number of cards from your sideline into your removal area. If you do choose choose up to 1 character in your opponent's front line, it loses 500 BP for each card placed into your removal area with this ability until the end of the turn. So essentially, if you want to get rid of a 4,000, you have to sideline 8 cards, but you'd put 2 into your trash already. So that's generally fine. And then we also have the Byakuya. So this is when played, you may place 2 cards from your sideline into your removal area. If you do, all characters on your opponent's front line lose 1,000 until the end of the turn. And then activate main once per turn, place 3 cards from your sideline into your removal area. If you do, this card gets impact 1. And then also when attacking, you may place 1 card from your sideline into your removal area. If you do, choose up to 1 character in your opponent's front line, it loses 1,000 BP until the end of the turn. So a lot of reduction and a lot of putting cards from your sideline into your removal area and having that as like a cost is really interesting. So the other thing that I want to mention is that it's a little bit tricky to balance with Ichigo and with Byakuya, since they both have, as mentioned, some really good color triggers. So like Ichigo, it has this 1 drop, look at the top card of your deck, then place it on top of top of your deck or into your sideline. And then Byakuya, when played, choose up to 1 character in your opponent's front line, it loses 500 BP until the end of the turn. So and this is a double energy. So right now we're doing like a 2-2 split. I haven't tested this enough to know if these are necessarily the right ratios we want for these. So we might want to like go down like 1 copy this 5 cost. Right now we have a 2-2 split between Ichigo and Byakuya. The other thing is that Byakuya has this special trigger, so it's a 4 cost 2 action points, but if you have Byakuya on the board, you get to reduce the AP cost by 1, and then choose it to one of your opponent's character's front line, it loses 3,000 to the end of turn, and then another one, it loses 1,000. So you can choose the same thing twice. It gets minus 4,000, or you can use it where you give something 3,000 minus, something 1,000 minus, and then you use Byakuya's effect to give like everything 1,000 minus. So like it can stack up pretty good. I think this one's better, and then you can still use this with Ichigo on the board. If you don't have Byakuya, it's just a little bit trickier because the action point's a little bit higher. So I might have to change ratios. I might just full commit to Byakuya and then maybe take out like one of these Ichigos too, and have like a 5-4 split. It's just a little bit tricky with just the cards that are named, right? Like these are all the Ichigos in the game right now and all the Byakuyas as far as I know, at least on the purple side. So it's hard to balance between the two, but I do think it's worth it to run both. You just have to find that balance for it. So other than that, the other new card is Tenjiro, which this card's great. People were speculating that this might also get hit and not reprinted or reprinted in the first place in North America, but activate main, switch to resting and sideline this card, add up to 1 purple character from your sideline to your hand. So because I think that's just going to make it a little bit easier for us to run like some of these dual split cards, is by using this, we can find our Ichigos a little bit easier. It does take like an extra action point to do so, but I think that's fine. And then we also have Kisuke, which is when played, you may place the top 3 cards of your deck into your sideline. If you do, add it to 1 purple character from your sideline to your hand. So it's a 3 cost 2 action points, so it's a little bit more expensive, but it's a more immediate than having to set up your Tenjiro. So I think that's impactful for the deck too. So other than that, I think this deck is pretty good. I think that it has a lot of ways for removal. It's a really aggressive, and like the trashing and using your sideline as an energy, or not as an energy, but as a resource is really fun. So that's it for this one, and I'll probably have this one will probably likely change a little bit more once we get to the full release, but I'll be updating the page as mentioned with more builds and my thoughts as we get there. But that's going to be it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to check out the website. It's going to, when on release of this video, it's a little bit bare, but if when this video is at least like a couple weeks old, I expect a lot more on here and more resources, and whenever you get tournaments, that will be impactful too. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Let me know what you guys are looking forward to from the release and what your decks are looking like, and I'll catch you all next time.